Hi, I thought that I would do a quick video on socialization, what it is, and some things to do for socialization. I've noticed that a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what socialization is. Um, a lot of people think that socialization is the meeting of other dogs and other people, but socialization is so much more than that. So, I am going to go over what socialization is, and all this information can be found on my worksheet called Socialization in Puppies. And it is good for not only puppies but adult dogs as well. Um, so, socialization starts as soon as the puppy is born, and it goes all the way until the puppy or the dog passes away. So, if you get the dog at 8 weeks old, there's already some socialization that has been going on in the life of the puppy, but that's when you still need to start physically doing stuff to help socialize the dog. And it goes on for the life of the dog. So it never stops. And if I'm looking away, I'm looking at my other computer screen with my list on it. So the first thing I want to go over is body examination and touching the body. That is a part of socialization. It is checking your ears and your mouth, gums, teeth, touching the legs, the feet, the toes, the tail, touching the body at all, holding it, anything like that should be done in a very young puppy daily. Older dogs, rescue dogs, I want to say daily as well, but you're going to take a slightly different approach to it, especially if you're working with a rescue that has come from a past with history. But that's all socialization, is getting them used to touch. Okay, so you're getting them used to this, and this is very good for taking them to the vet later on in life or currently, because the vet is going to do a lot of these things to examine the puppy or examine the dog. It's also very good for just randomly, hey, my dog's not feeling good, something's wrong, I need to check it out. If you're doing this and start when they're a puppy, touching them, then the puppy or the dog will be more likely to, even in pain, let you touch it, so that you can pinpoint what's going on. So there are lots of very good reasons to do touch. I'm just going in order on my list, and the next one I have down is people and socialization with people. This also starts right away in the dog's life. Though, depending on where you are, you might not be taking your dog out in the public when they're very young until they get all their shots. But even in your own household, you want to get them used to seeing people of different genders, children doing different things. So you want them to see children standing still, children running, playing, screaming. If your children's in costumes, especially if you get a puppy right around Halloween or the very first Halloween your dog sees, they're going to see children in costumes, and that's a very scary thing for them. They don't quite understand what the costume is. So you want to try to show them little things. You don't have to go out of your way to show them any of these. It's just kind of, if you're out with the dog and the dog stops and looks at somebody in a wheelchair, let them look and try to process that in their minds. Praise them when they're not reacting. So if they're looking at somebody with a cane or a walking stick or a wheelchair and they don't react, then praise them. Good boy, good girl, good job. Same thing with people of different races, ethnicities, people wearing hats, sunglasses. The first time the puppy sees it, they don't react. Good job. The less you react to something, the puppy is going to look at you for cues. So if you are hesitant because somebody comes up with crutches, the dog's going to pick up on that. So just be cautious of that as well. You don't want to be giving off body cues, but let them see things. Homeless people is a good one. If you are in an area where there are homeless people, don't rush them away really quick. Don't let them kind of look at them. Let them, if you feel safe, let them explore a little bit. Let them sniff around. Um, of course, it goes on the situation and if you feel safe or not. Um, if you want them to ignore them, walk by. Just walk by. And then praise them for not paying attention. Let me see. Next on my list are animals. So you are going to have them interact or see other animals. You're going to have them see other dogs at play. They might not interact with them, but visually, just letting them see it. Cats, horses, livestock, chickens, geese, rabbits, anything that happens to be around. Like I said, don't go out of your way to go find something, but if something is around. Now, an older dog, let's say you've never seen horses before, you take a drive and all of a sudden you come up on a place with horses. And the reaction is going to be the same. You're going to take a look at the horses. You are going to let them kind of smell, let them, try to test it out a little bit. And then always just be cautious. You don't want them to get too afraid, and you praise them for not reacting. Surfaces is a big one. This is something that puppies need to do right away, and then it follows, like I said, throughout the life of the dog. But surfaces, textures is what it is. So your concrete and asphalt, slippery floors, metal, carpet, laminate flooring, grass, mud, snow. Like I said, don't go seeking them out purposefully. But when you come to them, make sure you praise the dog for walking on them, expose them. So here's a good example. If you were to go to a store with your dog, a store that your dog's allowed in, even if they're a little tiny puppy, let them walk in the parking lot. Unless the parking lot is too hot or too cold, let them walk on the parking lot. Let them walk on the sidewalk. Let them walk through the door, especially if it has sliding doors. This is all socialization. The first time they'll be hesitant. And just, if they're hesitant, just keep praising them as they go through, as they do it. My dog, the first time they were in an elevator, was really scary. And, now all three of them will walk in, no problem. You just kind of keep doing it. And I don't live someplace where there's a lot of elevators. We just happened to travel a lot when they were younger. Grates is a big one that a lot of dogs are afraid of. And if you take your dog out hiking anywhere, grate bridges or grate sidewalks are very common to use. And so that might take a little bit more time. And it's the same thing. You praise them when they're walking over, even if they're cowering a little bit. They tend to army crawl. You still want to praise them. And if they're so scared, you don't ever want to get them to the point where they're so scared that they can't function. And I'll talk about that here once I go through my list. The next on my list are sounds. And so, we now have CDs, MP3s, M4s, YouTube. You can play different sounds to get them used to it. Thunder is a good one. Fireworks, babies or kids crying, alarms, doorbells, anything that is a common thing in your life. If you live in a place where, you have a lot of traffic, you might want to start the puppy out playing some of this traffic in the house just randomly to get them used to it, or a siren. If you live out and a little, out a bit, or you're on a farm, you might want to play the sound of a chainsaw or go out and use the chainsaw. And just kind of have somebody else stay back with the puppy or keep an eye on the puppy for the sound. You don't want it to be scary, but you want them to learn that it isn't a scary sound. The next one on my list is the objects with wheels. And wheeled objects are scary for dogs. On some dogs, it elicits a chase response. On other dogs, it's just scary because this is an object that in their mind shouldn't move and it's moving. They don't quite get the understand wheels. So on my list, I have skateboards, rollerblades, garbage cans with wheels. That could be also a sound thing, especially if it's an empty garbage can on a driveway. Shopping cart, strollers. Just kind of let them check it out, see it, let them move it, let them. Some of these things, like a shopping cart, if they're little, if they're going to ride in it, um, let them look at cars. Don't chase them. But you want them to kind of get used to seeing them, okay? And when they are a young puppy, and this is something for car chasing, especially if you live in a town or someplace where you see a lot of traffic. If you're in an area and you start walking and a car just goes down the road, if they start to pull a little bit, get their attention and keep walking away from the car. And then praise them for it. And you want to continually do this because you don't want that response to chase the car to build. So you want to start as young as you can with that. Same with kids' bikes or motorcycles, anything like that. Now, with an older dog, there's different methods to use to teach them to not chase. But you still want to, when you're walking, if it's an older dog and they have that response or you're working through that response, if they see a car and they start to tense, you get their attention, you walk away and you praise them because that's part of the socialization. They're seeing it, but you're teaching them to not react, or to react in a positive way. Man-made objects, I have a list, and of course none of these lists are complete lists. I just put on so many that I thought of right away. And I had man-made objects is not on a lot of the lists that you see, but I added because this is a huge part of socialization, and this is something you can do in your house right away. So pots and pans, blankets, brooms, umbrellas, plastic bags, paper bags, shovels, garden tools, fencing, kids' toys, leashes, dog toys, anything like that. Plastic packaging, cardboard boxes. That's all letting them explore those when they're little or when you have some time is actually a huge part of socialization. It builds their confidence up when they're seeing things, especially if you've ever seen your dog kind of hesitate and get really tense and go up to an object really slowly and then bounce back right away because it's afraid of it. Let them do some of that. Let them explore. Even if it's funny, try not to laugh. Just try to ignore it. Let them explore it themselves. On my list, I have environments. So you want to expose them to different environments that you have in close to where you live. So if you live in a town of some sort, maybe you're going to be exposing them to suburban neighborhoods, city, traffic, parking lots, stores, parks, and that includes dog parks if you want to do dog park or regular parks. If streams, let them get their feet wet, let them taste the water, let them play a little bit. Of course, make sure they're safe doing it. Make sure you have them on a harness and a leash if your stream is big enough for them to actually get washed away in. Grassy fields, gardens, other buildings. We have Quonset huts out here where I am at. We have garages. Dogs can walk in and out. Greenhouses. Just little things. And the last one would be smells. So you want them to smell things. Dogs experience the world through their noses. So you want them to smell. You want them to stop and sniff and smell and explore what they're looking at. So if you're going for a walk, especially with a young dog, puppies, you're only going for a couple minutes at a time with a puppy. But if they want to stop and spend 2 minutes smelling something weird, or they want to go smell a leaf, let them. You can even let them pick up some things, of course, safety reasons. If they want to pick up a stick, if they want to pick up a leaf, that's fine. You don't want them picking up trash. You don't want them picking up food that somebody dropped. But within reason, you can also let them pick up some things. So that goes through my list. My list is set up to be a weekly list. So you were to go through that list. How I have it in my classes is you go through the list one for week. You kind of mark off on your day. Hey, did we encounter the woods today? Then check the box. Did we encounter pots and pans today? Check the box. It seems like a lot of work, but it's just getting into the routine of letting your dog explore. The more you socialize them when they're little, and the more you continue it through their lives, the more outgoing your dog will be. It might never like certain things, but it will be more confident. I should say confident, maybe not outgoing. You don't want the dog to be afraid of everything, and they will go through fear stages in their life where something that was not fearful 3 months ago is all of a sudden very fearful. And that's normal. And when that happens, when you do hit those stages, all you do is keep doing the socialization. Don't let it slide. So if all of a sudden, let's say they're going out playing in the grass just fine, and there's leaves and sticks in your yard, and you have a windstorm, and all of a sudden they're afraid of the leaves blowing around. And I'm saying that because it just got really windy here. And all of a sudden there's leaves blowing around, and your puppy won't go outside now at all to pee. Because, I don't know, maybe a leaf touched them. It's just really weird. It doesn't always make sense. But you just keep going through the socialization. Just keep praising them for doing things. If you know what scared them, it's easier. But most of the time you don't know what scared them. It's just something random. It could be, it could have been something even on TV. It could have been a car on TV that revved its engines. And so now when it goes outside and it hears the car and it hears the engine start to rev, it's all automatically scared. So if you can hear that, then okay. Then kind of pay attention. With the sounds, I want to say you don't want to make a routine with it. You want to play the sounds so sporadically that there is no routine to it, because dogs will pick up on routines very quick. A good doorbell one, if you don't want your dog barking at doorbells all the time. If you have a kid, have the kid go and play with the doorbell. It honestly will work very well because there is no routine with kids. A lot of time, everything is random. So that's kind of a little explanation about the worksheet. I know we've been getting a lot of questions about it. And I'm doing this as a video instead of a Facebook Live because I'm in a different time zone, and it is very hard for me to do a Facebook Live when most of the United States is so much earlier than me. So this way I can reach more people. If you have any questions about socialization, about what it is, what you're doing, or if something, or how to do something, just let us know. Type it down below, make a comment. We will try to help you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm hoping that clears it up a little bit for some people, and to understand that your dog puppy needs socialization from the moment you bring them home. So don't wait until they get their shots to start doing socialization. You might wait for certain parts of it, like going out into public or going out, and with COVID and people being quarantined, or some places are still under lockdown, they just went into lockdown, you can still do a lot of the socialization. It doesn't stop. You might have a factor here or there that might be postponed until a little later, but it's not going to stop. So that's not an excuse. And so when we see some of this fear arise later in life is because the dogs were either not socialized enough, so they weren't given the opportunity to explore, and they weren't given the opportunity to smell, sniff, see things, or they were yelled at for doing something instead of being praised when they were young. So if they automatically went to, let's say when they're very young, and you go and you're walking down the street and you see a stick on the ground and you automatically yell at your dog and pull it back before they learn leave it, that's a negative effect, and that could actually come up later in life. So for socialization, you actually want them to sniff that stick. Take 2 seconds and let them sniff it, and then, okay, leave it, let's keep going. So just be aware of your actions as well, because we don't mean to have negative effects on the dogs. We really don't. Most people don't understand how dogs think or behave, and so a lot of this stuff is done without even realizing it. And it's never too late to fix something. It's just sometimes it takes a little longer to fix it, but it's never too late. So you want to just be cognizant of what you are doing. You want to praise them a lot. You want to encourage them to look at the world and encourage them to to explore on their own, and your puppy will grow up to be very well-rounded if you do this. Just to kind of give a little game that you can do in the house before I end the video is, especially for puppies, if you're in the house and you have more than one person, or the puppy is in a crate or in a bed or in a pen somewhere, you can go and set up just little things like put a cardboard box, a Kleenex box or something with an empty Kleenex box, toilet paper roll, and put little pieces of kibble or some sort of treat, just enough to get the smell to get them to want to go over to it. Balls, put stuff, put something like that underneath a chair or beside a chair that moves, and then come in with your puppy a little bit later, or a couple minutes later, and let them loose for a little bit. Let them go and explore on their own. Praise them when they do stuff right. Just those little tiny actions is very stimulating for the puppy. It tires them out mentally, as well as physically, but it also is part of socialization and will help build their confidence. You can do this with older dogs as well. You might have to get a little bit more creative with an older dog, but it's the same concepts. So I hope this video helped, and like I said, if there's any questions, leave comments and I will try to answer them, or somebody will. Okay, thank you very much.